Good afternoon. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Welcome back. It's Miles. If you tuned in on Thursday, you caught the cover I did of the new single from Slipknot, Unsainted. And today we're going to talk about some pointers about how to go about playing the song. So let's just jump into it. Here we go. So first things first, let's talk about the tuning for the guitars in this song. So both guitars are tuned to drop B, which is the same thing as drop D tuning if you were 1.5 steps lower than traditional standard tuning. So the strings going across from high to low are C sharp, G sharp, E, B, F sharp, and another B string. If it was a standard tuning, you'd have C sharp at the bottom as your low E string. But we tuned it down to match the same pitch that's on the 5th fret of the A string. So now we have a drop B tuning that allows us to play one finger power chords. I'll discuss drop tunings in a different video in more depth, but for now, that's all you need to know. Hey guys, so I forgot to mention, and I'm mentioning now, that if you're going to tune down for this song, you're going to want to get some thicker strings to do so. Because if you have a set of 9s or 10s on your guitar and you're tuning down to drop B, it is not going to sound good. It's going to sound like a series of farts, and I don't think anyone wants that. What I'm using on my guitar currently and what I would recommend are these Diodarios, the EXL 115Ws. I get these specifically because the G string is wound, and when you're tuning down to a low tuning like this, you're going to want to have that extra round sound to it that you get from a wound string. So something to consider. There's other options out there. You don't have to get Diodarios. You can get a set of strings from Ernie Ball, whatever you want to do. But just want to put that out there. Okay, bye. So the most predominant portion of the song that we're going to be looking at, aside from the chorus, is going to be the verse. There's 2 different variations on this same part, and it goes like this. Now, what you're starting off the verse riff with is some notes on the open low E string, which is our B string for this song. But instead of just plucking them openly, we're going to be using a technique known as palm muting. And that's when you use the side of the palm of your hand to mute the string. You put the side of your hand right where the string meets the saddle so that you retain the original pitch of the unmuted note, but with a little bit more tightness to it. Now, if you're too far up on the string, it's going to sound less than good. So you want to find that spot where it's not hindering your playing and it's not changing the actual timbre or changing the pitch of the note. So, you got and so what's going on in there is that you're playing 3 muted notes on the open string, then you're going to the 1st fret, back to the open string, like that. So there's another open note being thrown in there in between. Well, another muted note, not open. It is open, but it's muted. Can't think today. Now, after that, you're going to be going to the 3rd fret, where you're going to do a whole step bend on the 3rd fret of the low E string. Back down to the 1st fret. Now, the second portion of the verse, pre-chorus if you will, it's taking that same theme and it's adding to it. In the case of, instead of doing by itself, now we're doing so what's happening there is that you're adding in power chords going from the 2nd fret of the A string, which would be a B power chord if you were in standard tuning, going up a half step to the 3rd fret, and then back to these 1-finger power chords that we have in this drop tuning, going from the 3rd fret to the 4th fret. So now for the chorus, you got a couple different things going on here. You got 2 guitar parts at least that are happening. You got the chords that are happening, which are going from B, like a B power chord, which in this case, because we're in a drop tuning, will just be the open low strings. From the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret. So, and then, right before it goes to the next measure, you're going to be playing those 1-finger power chords going from the 5th fret to the 7th, and then the downbeat of the next measure is on the 8th fret. So back down to the 7th fret, up to the 11th. The way that I'm playing it in the video prior to this one, what I'm doing is I'm adding an additional octave to the note that's being played. So our 5th of the power chord, I'm doing an octave of that on the G string. So and what that does is just kind of makes the other interval within the chord kind of show up a little bit more. It's not mandatory. It's just there for, it was a creative liberty I took for myself.
Big whoop. Want to fight about it?
Now, in addition to the chords in the chorus, there's also octaves being played. Octaves are the same note, just one's higher than the other. In terms of a scale situation, if you play the major or minor scale, the last note after the 7th degree of the scale would be the same note you started on, being your octave, 8 steps away. Octave. So, what's happening there is that you're playing those 2 notes at the same time by playing with either your 1st and your 3rd finger or your 1st and your 4th. That's what I would recommend. And basically using your 1st finger to mute the D string that's in between A and G. So you don't want to be able to hear the D string in between. It's going to be a little awkward to get used to it at first, but you can do it. So what we have going on here, and I won't play the octave pattern, I'll just play the single notes for now, and then you can apply the octaves later. What you're doing. So going from the 5th fret, 7th, 8th, the 10th and the 12th, back to the 10th, to the 8th, 7th, 5th, and then 4th. So with the octave added, you're having like that. So those are the 2 parts of the chorus. Now, after that, what you have going on is the breakdown section, the bridge section of the song. Now, the way that Slipknot plays this live, and I think they might have done it on the recording this way too, they're playing which it works. It's good. There's also a harmony to that as well. And that's going from the 7th fret as a power chord. And then on top of that, there's octaves of the same sets of notes, but that's not super important at the moment. So the way that I'm doing it in the recording that I did, I'm doing a bend from the 1st fret of the low E string. So instead of going to the 3rd fret, I'm going up to that pitch with just a bend, which I think sounds a little bit heavier, especially when you double it and record it. I think it sounds dope. You don't have to do it that way. You can just do the, or whichever you prefer. Now, after the bridge section, there's another sort of build-up leading to the last chorus in the song, where it's following the same line as but it's being played in a different manner. So in this case, what you have happening is that you're alternating between the fretted notes that would exist on the A string, but we're playing it now on the low E string. And between that, you're pulling up to an open string. So what makes this technique work out a little bit better so that it's articulated better is palm muting, once again. So you're going to be doing like that. So then back into the chorus. So the one part I forgot to mention exists in the beginning of the song. At the end of the song is the outro, and it's also at the end of the first chorus. And there's some variation on it as well. But primarily what we're dealing with is, and it plays a big role because if you listen carefully to the beginning of the song, it's being played repeatedly. So what's happening there is our good old friend palm muting is back, and we're playing. So it's going from the 5th fret of low E and A, to the 3rd fret, to the 2nd fret, open, and then 3rd fret again, 2nd fret, 1st fret to open. So, drop my pick. So you got, as the first portion of that whole phrase. Now, in addition to that, for the outro, there's an extension being added to it, where you're doing, in which case you're doing the same thing that we started with, but now you're adding in at the end. So that's going on, alternating between open in the 1st fret and then going to the 3rd fret. So 0, 1, 0, 1, 3, 1, 0, 1. Yes, got it. And for the outro specifically, it starts out with those the 1-finger power chords again. And then after that, it switches over to just playing the single notes on the low E string. So it could be a bit of a confusing pattern to start, but repetition is your friend. Utilize it and you'll figure out any pattern that you need to play on the guitar. All right, guys, so that's a general gist of what you need to know for this song. If you have any questions about it, feel free to shoot me a message. You can leave me a comment down below. I plan to do more covers in the future, so keep an eye out for that. If you haven't already, consider subscribing. I also put up a video on my Instagram story recently talking about the importance of stretching and taking care of your body in terms of being a performer, whether it be in the sense of playing in a live setting or doing a music video. You know, you don't want to end up in a position like I currently am, where you're really sore from banging your head around and moving around like a buffoon for 2 hours. So if you want to check that out, you should go over to my Instagram. Maybe even give me a follow. But other than that, that's all I got for you for today. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. It's really hot in this room, so I'm gonna go and stick my head in the freezer now. All right? Adios, y'all.